Hi, my name is Vince, and I'd like to show you a totally new kind of instrument, the Roland SP-808 Groove Sampler. It combines sampling and hard disk recording with special remixing effects and insane real-time control. This 808's got all the tools necessary to create slammin' remixes, then perform them live with the same box. Let's take a look at an actual remix studio. The typical arsenal of a remix studio consists of a sampler for recording loops and vocal hits, a hard disk recorder for recording long acapellas, a sequencer for organizing your tracks, a synth for making bass lines and leads, and a mixer and effects processor for sweetening and finishing the mix. Using these pieces, the remixer will take an existing song, then create a new one based on elements of the original. Record companies have found that a song that's hot in one market can be remixed to appeal to a totally different market. You know, more sales, more Benjamins, baby. Roland has made the task of remixing and urban track production a whole lot easier by including all those things you need in one portable machine. The SP-808 has all the elements of a classic remix studio. It has a stereo sampler, hard disk recorder with sequencer and digital mixer, effects processor, synthesizer, and real-time performance tools. To show you the power and ease of remixing with the SP-808, I'll walk you through a remix of a song. Listen to the original recording of this hip-hop track.
Sticking beats in your head, you heard what I said. Funky tracks with raps is what stacks. You heard what I said. Funky tracks and raps is what stacks.
Now, say the record company would like a drum and bass version for the DJs to play in the clubs. No problems. In most remix situations, the producer will get just an a cappella or solo vocal track of the original song on DAT. He then must sample or record several minutes of vocals, something that could max out your sampling time on RAM-based samplers. This is a non-issue with the SP-808. Using direct-to-zip disk sampling and playback, the 808 gives you 23 minutes of CD-quality stereo sampling. Since all sampling and hard disk recording is direct to zip disk, there's no need for any additional hard drive. If I need to add additional vocals, I can plug a mic into the SP-808 and sample to a pad or record directly to the hard disk recorder section. For now, I'll transfer the vocals from a DAT digitally using the optional SP-808 OP1 expander, which has digital I/O, 6 additional analog outputs, and a SCSI port for backups. Now I'll sample some loops from a sampling CD so I can build a new groove. Finding stuff to sample is no problem. You can pick up the phone or jump on the web and order sampling CDs from many different companies or sample sounds from other gear. The SP-808 can call up over 1,000 samples total. That's a whole sampling CD's worth of loops to pick and choose from, all loaded at one time without needing to purchase any costly computer memory chips. The sampler can perform auto trimming, looping, auto tempo calculations, time stretching, and scrub editing with full waveform display. There's also an incredibly slick auto divide function that will break up a single recording of multiple phrases and assign them to new pads automatically. This saves you hours of sampling loop after loop, one at a time. Now I'll need to sequence the loops I just sampled. This is cake with the SP-808's 4-track stereo hard disk recorder. The 808's recorder is designed for remixing by allowing you to manipulate many audio phrases, long or short, in real time. That's the big difference. The recorder has real-time and step-right recording. I'll use step-right mode and lay down a quick 3 bars of this loop and a bar of that loop. Using real-time recording with quantize on, I'll record a kick drum on top of the loops. For dicing up the mix, the 808 has easy visual playlist editing with undo and quick edit buttons right on the front panel. I'll use the paste command and copy the sequence I just recorded. I can even scrub the tracks for detailed editing. Anything sequenced on the playlist can be resampled to another pad or track, making it possible to build large multi-track mixes. The 808 can also be synchronized with other MIDI gear like Grooveboxes and VS recorders using MIDI clock, MIDI timecode, and MIDI machine control. The SP-808 has an effects processor packed with specialized remixing effects and some incredible models of classic analog effects. There are 100 preset and 100 programmable effects, including multi-mode filters, phasers, pitch shifters, flangers, delays, reverbs, and a vocal canceller. It also has some Roland classics like the RE201 Space Echo and the SGD320 Dimension D. And some cool stuff like the Roland Soundspace processor, slicing gating effect, stereo distortion, isolator, virtual phonograph and virtual radio, and a bitrate converter for really making things lo-fi. It is so nice to have so many different effects at my fingertips, ready to go without any patching. It's all in the digital domain, so bouncing tracks and resampling pads with the effects is clean and simple. I'll take this loop here and resample it with the RE201 delay effect to create a break. Here's the vinyl simulator. Have you ever heard of dialing in the dust? There's also a 2-oscillator analog modeling synth, similar to the JP-8000, with parameters just like an old classic. There are saw, triangle, and pulse waves with LFO, VCO, VCA, ring mod, delay, chorus, and flange. Even samples can be used to trigger the amplifier or the filter section of the synth. I can play the synth with a keyboard via MIDI or sequence the notes the synth will play using the step modulator, which is like an analog sequencer, or step writing notes on the TB-303. Here's a different synth. I can even sample the synth to a pad and have different riffs ready to go. The step modulator can also be used to control effects patches. Now it's time to mix all the parts together. Using the built-in digital mixer, I'll mix 3 stereo tracks, the virtual synth, and some live pad action. I could also include scratching from the 1200 through the DJ mixer and extra instrument parts from a Groovebox if I needed. There's even an aux in and out, so you can still use your other effects boxes. As you can see, the 808 can be the centerpiece of your whole studio. The line-in and all the tracks have a 3-band EQ, so you can really sweeten the mix before sending it straight to DAT. Or run a mix down to an analog recorder with the onboard 20-bit D-to-A converters. That's better than CD quality. If you need to record the song in a big studio, you can run the tracks out through the 4 onboard outputs, plus 6 outputs on the optional SP-808 OP1 expander. That's 10 outs total. You can have a service center add the option after buying the 808. Or get the SP-808 Pro, which has the expander installed at the factory.
Straight into your ears so you can hear this beat. Feel the vibe, watch it tweak. Y también how it speaks to your soul. Then you know a slow or fast.
The mix is done, and the pressing plan is drop shipping your hot new mix all over the world. Now what are you going to do? Tour and promote. Take the SP-808 to the club and jam, extending the mix to suit the crowd. Let's face it, there is no more excuses for those boring pre-recorded DAT performances. The SP-808 also has 3 real-time controllers. Using the selector button, I can switch between 6 different assignable parameters for each effects patch. This lets you tweak that effect live and make your performance unique every night. I can also use the controllers on the virtual synth. Now for the ultimate in real-time control, the D-beam controller. 2 infrared beams that let you modulate 2 effects parameters just by waving your hands in the air. The D-beam can also be used to trigger samples. And simulate a turntable speed adjust. Always wanted a theremin? Using the D-beam, you can even play the synth patch. This is the first time any manufacturer has incorporated this kind of technology into their products. And Roland has an exclusive licensing agreement with Interactive Light, the developers of the D-beam. So you won't see this kind of innovative musical expression anywhere else. If you are a DJ and are looking for the next level in live performance, use the SP-808 to add some sound effects and extra beats to your mixes. You could also use the powerful effects in the SP-808 in real time with your DJ mixer. Just hook it up using the effects loop and use the D-beam and a foot switch to control the parameters. That will definitely blow minds. If you're just starting out, the SP-808 has got it all. Just sample some grooves, trip it out with the synth and effects, and bust it live. All possible using this one box. Say you already own a room full of gear. The 808 works with anything you can throw at it. And don't forget the real-time performance controls not found anywhere else in the world. The Roland SP-808, the future of remixing.